Gear 5 was a failure. Or was it? Nah, it definitely was. Gear 5 was supposed to be One Piece's Avengers Endgame. The emotional and narrative climax to years of setup. After all, Endgame wasn't just a movie. It was the payoff to 3 arcs: Iron Man's legacy, Captain America's moral journey.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
And the cosmic threat of the Infinity Stones. And Wano was no different. Punk Hazard lit the fuse. Dressrosa built the empire. Whole Cake added personal stakes and world-shaking alliances. You could even say the Whole Cake arc was One Piece's own civil war.
I'm trying to keep
The crew from falling apart.
You did that when you
Brought my abusive family to my engagement party. Warning, the voices in this scene are poorly dubbed by someone with 0 voice acting experience. Viewer discretion is advised. And just like the MCU, all of this wasn't just building towards a war. It was building towards a monster. For Marvel, it was Thanos, the purple philosopher with the god complex and a rock collection. He was teased for years. End credits, shadows, space thrones. Every time he showed up, he said like 3 words and dipped.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
And in One Piece, that role belonged to Kaido, the strongest creature alive, the bringer of despair, and the only villain in anime history to lose a 1v1 to gravity. Kaido wasn't just a threat, he was a myth. A force of nature whispered across arcs, built up through business deals, body counts, and an alcohol problem so bad it came with its own character arc. Both villains were built up to be untouchable, unstoppable, unskippable. So when the time finally came for our heroes to rise and face this final boss, it had to land. Because when you spend hundreds of chapters or 10 years of film building towards a single moment, that moment has one job: to hit visually, tonally, and most importantly, emotionally. Emotions are the driving force behind any good piece of writing. After all, nothing leaves a longer lasting impression than a sad moment tugging at your heartstrings, or Zoro standing all bloodied and just nonchalantly telling you that "Nani mo wagatta." And while people love to praise One Piece for its intricate world building, I'd actually argue that One Piece's greatest strength is its ability to get you, the viewer, emotionally invested into its characters and its stories. Every Straw Hat has meaningful depth. Whether through backstory, growth, or motivation, no character feels wasted. Everyone has a specific role they play very well. I mean, is anyone going to seriously tell me they were more invested in Chad's backstory than Nico Robin's? Let's be real, Wano wasn't just an arc, it was an emotional roller coaster that spanned over the course of 4 years. Parents murdered, children starved, and dreams crushed like they were empty beer cans. So when we finally reached the climax, we didn't need Tom and Jerry, we needed John Wick. Let's not forget, this was Luffy's redemption match. 3 brutal L's, a broken spirit, and a country begging for justice. The stage had finally been set for the ultimate moment, and Gear 5 gave us this? That's not subversion, it's sabotage! Speaking of sabotage, can we talk about how Kaido went from the scariest Yonko to a piece of gym equipment to a literal balloon blasting off like Team Rocket? Wasn't this guy supposed to be the strongest creature in the world? I'm not even a Kaido fan, and even I think bro deserved better than that. Now, Oda stated himself that he thinks mangas take themselves too seriously and that he didn't want his work to become a serious manga. And honestly, I get it. Some people see Gear 5 as the ultimate expression of Luffy's freedom. His joy, his playfulness, and the fact that he fights on his own terms. And if that resonates with you, totally fine. But for me, it's not the idea that's the problem. It's the timing, the execution. Dropping full-blown slapstick into what should have been a cinematic moment built on generational trauma and vengeance just doesn't land emotionally, not when the stakes are this high. Take for example one of the most emotional moments in all of One Piece, at the end of the Marineford arc when Ace sacrifices himself to save Luffy. The whole build up to this moment, from Impel Down to when Ace is finally freed from his handcuffs and starts kicking ass, is such a satisfying experience. And when Akainu finally does his thing, it hits especially hard because Oda lets it hurt. But imagine if right after this moment, Sanji popped in out of nowhere and started simping for Nami Swan. I'd be out there with pitchforks demanding a rewrite. When Goku went Super Saiyan, it was iconic. Hair flicked up, aura blazing, Frieza sweating like he forgot his sunscreen. It was the literal chef's kiss after years of build-up. Now, what if instead Goku started laughing like a hyena while Frieza slipped on a banana peel? Whoa! This moment wouldn't have been nearly as iconic if that happened. Even within One Piece, Luffy's power-ups used to hit different. Gear 2? Blood pumping, steam radiating, badass with a clear resolve to save Robin at any cost. That was admirable. Gear 4 had its own moments of silliness too, but even that was great because Luffy proceeded to clean house in a very satisfying justice delivering moment for all of Dressrosa. That was the perfect balance of humor and a serious moment. But Gear 5? Look, I can use the ground as a trampoline. Okay, but why now? After Kaido killed Momo's parents, enslaved Wano, and bodied Luffy 3 times? We needed vengeance, not a bunch of cartoon sound effects that ripped the immersion right out from under you. With a whole crew of characters that consistently add their own sense of humor to the story, One Piece has no shortage of comedy. But at the end of the day, humor is an emotional tool, not that much different than sadness. Or anger. And like anger or sadness, it needs to be used with complementing music, visuals, and most importantly, timing. The reason why Gear 5 failed in my eyes was because it's a comedic relief tool that appears at the worst possible time. In Oda's attempt to make his work more lighthearted, he completely takes away all the immersion from what was supposed to be a very tense and climactic moment. Instead of Gear 5 playing into One Piece's greatest strength, allowing us to emotionally invest in the moment that should have been Kaido's satisfying demise, Gear 5 works against itself by taking us out of the immersion in an attempt to give us a cheap laugh.